So in a couple minutes, there's gonna be this little rumble thing that goes on. I don't know if you'll hear it, but it'll be online, and and then I'll say game on, and I'll introduce you guys, and we'll get after it if you're ready. Do you guys need a drink or anything like that, or?
I got one.
I'll have my barmaid come by. I'm just gonna fill up my water here. Just one second.
I was looking up Dustin Schwartz's Wikipedia. Didn't have much to say.
I don't think he ever did too much. I think he just went. He went. There's the odd goalie coach out there that didn't really play much or of anywhere and just study the technical side of things. So.
Yeah, he's just never brought a goalie into the NHL. He's never been responsible for anything other than collecting a salary.
That's interesting. I didn't know that about him.
Yeah.
Remember when we had Pete Peters as a goalie coach?
A long time ago.
Wasn't it before Schwartz?
Yeah.
This goalie talk is already going live. Your mics are hot, fellas.
Whoops.
About time.
No whoopses, no redos, no nothing. We're
game time. Game time.
Just about.
Yeah.
Just about. Game on! Holy crap!
Holy crap!
We got Pelly Lindbergh in the house tonight.
We got Jason Voorhees in the house tonight.
It's the ghost of Pelly Lindbergh.
Yeah. Flyers. Wow.
This is what Pelly would have looked like in Oilers Silks. Look at that, eh?
There we go. The old copper and blue. So I believe this is, episode 28 of Straight Off the Pipe, and tonight Dash had some things in his personal life he had to take care of, so I'm going to lead the charge without him. I'd like to welcome to the show Chad Graham, a guy I went to high school with. We never really saw each other in high school because I think at times neither one of us was there, but we went to the same school. And we've also got Bob, known as Bob the Goalie on Twitter. Welcome, gentlemen.
First off, let me just say how shocked I am to learn that both of you went to high school. So that's already off to an impressive start.
Listen here, Bob. Listen here.
Yeah. Well, let's get right to it. I mean, the reason why I wanted you both to come on was to talk about the goaltending and, positives and negatives from what you see. I guess I'll start with what do you two think of Stuart Skinner, and Bob, you can go first.
I said at the beginning of the season that I wanted to see Skinner to have at least eight or so starts, 8 to 10 starts this year, just to see what we have in him. Like he's been lighting it up in Bakersfield. He's been lights out kind of thing. And maybe we don't need to chase a goalie in the off season. Like maybe we got a starter here. And he's shown flashes of it for sure. He's actually, in my estimation, probably 3 of the games that he's been in, he stole games for us. He's leveled off a little bit here and there, but I think there's enough there for us to
the
be
Schwartz
excited.
curse. The Schwartz curse.
Here we go. I knew it was coming. Chad.
Carry on, please.
So yeah.
I think we've seen enough to be excited about him. I don't think he's ready to carry the load for us in the playoffs for this year to ride him. But I think we got a potential goalie for the future here. I want to see more of him though. So
no Jordan Binnington 2.0 is what you're saying.
No Steve Penny.
What? Skinner will never be allowed to be Binnington though. He's coming to the Oilers, get underneath your crease and play the odds and hope to hell kind of game that they play, thanks to our illustrious loser of a goalie coach.
Okay, so now that we've ripped off the Band-Aid there, what is your thought totally on Schwartz? Because I think I'm kind of heard enough of the you can't turn a Pinto into a Lamborghini school of thought here. I mean, this guy that we employ as our goalie coach is like a cockroach at a nuclear Chernobyl accident. he's the last one. He always walks away. We've went through general managers, head coaches, assistants, traded players, but I think we had Cam Talbot, who went on a tear here, and then shit the bed, and then went to Calgary and turned his career around, and in Minnesota right now, I think he's the top 5 goalie in the NHL.
Yep, 100%. The guy, if you look at Schwartz's track record, I don't care what anybody says. You talk about Dubnyk, you talk about Salo, you talk about Dubnyk, you talk about Talbot. The guys who have come through our team lately have just been walked in as great goalies, left crap, only to be reconditioned into good again. So there has to be an explanation for this. There's only one common denominator to our goaltending problem, and that is Schwartz. Why does Mike Smith maintain great play? He plays great. I mean, Mike Smith plays Mike Smith's game. Why? Why does he do that? Why does it never change for Mike Smith? Because he's 38 years old and doesn't give a crap about what Schwartz says. He plays his hockey game. Could care less. Then you got Mikko, comes in the league, looks like Hasek coming into the league. He was big. He was a flopper. He was so animated to get the puck. He got a big contract because of it. And then all of a sudden now he's butterfly, in your spot, under your goal post, trying to play this positional game that Schwartz wants to play. And why? Mikko, unfortunately for Mikko, he's young and he was worried about keeping his job. So what is your job as a goaltender? Stop pucks, listen to your coach. Which one? Right? He's coming into the league thinking, I got to listen to Dustin. I got to do what I got to do. I got to play my game as told, and learn all these new things about the North American game, and lost everything that he had when he first started. I see it in Skinner right now. He started off in the league this year, challenging, out there, big, strong, fast, reflexes, aggressive. Now he's back in his crease, stuck under his goalpost. Who's to blame for that? The defense, the forwards, or the goalie coach?
Okay. You know what? First off, I'm going to agree with you when it comes to certain points about Dustin Schwartz. I do. You're bang on. He hasn't proven anything. He hasn't brought anybody in, like you mentioned. He hasn't really. He hasn't developed anybody, especially as an Oiler. Now, when it comes to the style that Koskinen is playing, that Skinner is playing, that sort of thing, to be fair, it's the style that almost everybody is teaching right now in the league, and I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it either. And yeah, maybe we're old school, maybe we stood up more, or maybe we challenge more, or what have you, but they are definitely playing that thing where they do stay deeper in the crease. Like, the goals these guys are letting in over their shoulders from bad angles is mind-boggling to me how often that's happened here in the last 5-6 years, and it keeps increasing. Like, they're totally just playing by percentages. It's all analytics now, sort of thing, and there's no more instincts involved. There's none of that, except for when they're scrambling. And that's when the goalie plays at his best, almost, when they're scrambling, because they're relying on their reflex.
Well, look at Allmark in his 2-pad stack. I was so proud to see a goalie in today's NHL throw a 2-pad stack out.
It was beautiful, wasn't it? It was absolutely beautiful to watch. Yeah,
I was shocked.
I'm seeing like 2 other things in Koskinen's game that I don't like. It's happened a few times this season where a forward will be skating down and they'll be pushed to the outside by the D-man, and they're shooting from the circles and they're beating Koskinen across his body. I mean, as a defenseman, you kind of did your job and you're relying on your goalie to make a save there, and they're getting by him, and it's happened on occasion, and I just, those ones bother me. Those bother me more than the high glove whatever.
Well, here's the thing with Koskinen. So, number one, he's not a starting goalie. He isn't a starting goalie in the NHL. He isn't. He has games where he's stolen games for us, for sure. He's come in short notices and in short spurts and been spectacular. But he's not consistent enough to be a starter. I think we've had a good enough sample size of him to kind of make that statement. I think he's a good backup. I really do think he's a backup. But he's not a guy we can ride.
Yeah,
My turn?
I just a sec, Chad. I saw, last night, a look on his face, like after that second goal, where he cares, but it's just like, you could see the pressure. The pressure was weighing on the guy. I could see it. his face was all red, and they put the camera right up close on him, and you could see the wheels turning and the pressure, and it was mounting on him, and I kind of felt bad for him in a sense, because he's probably expecting to be sort of a 1B more backup situation this year, and Smith goes down, and he's got to carry the load, and yeah, I mean, as a professional, that's kind of the way it works, but there's still a human side to it, right? Anyway, fire away, Chad.
I think Koskinen could be a starting goaltender. I think Koskinen needs the right direction. He needs the right coaching. And Mike Smith was doing that with him. I don't know what Mike's doing right now or what role Mike's playing in Mikko's development even this year while he's hurt. But when Mikko and Mike were fighting for a spot, that was when Mikko and Mike both played their best goaltender.
Agreed.
We had a great tandem. With Skinner there, he had a couple of rough games to start with. He made great saves. I thought he looked really good. And if he'd have just been left alone, then he would have, given Mikko even some confidence that there's another goaltender that can play. But I still think Skinner got grabbed by Dustin. Sorry, hate to say it. He went from being out there. So it's one of two things. Either our defense sucked that bad that these goalies feel like they have to be under their freaking crossbar because they don't know who's going to take what pass, who's going to be screening who, and who's going to deflect what, and they can't challenge. Or our goaltending coach is saying, stay underneath your crossbar because you don't know when the puck's going to be, and I don't think you're good enough. I don't know what the story is.
Well, I think Dustin Schwartz is just he's just teaching what everybody else is teaching, and I think in this, for us to be a difference maker in their goaltending department, it's either has to be, if he wants to make a name for himself, Schwartz, he's going to have to step out of the mold. You say, this is how we're going to play it now. But no, he won't, because everybody's doing it. You watch the league and the style that's being played. It's not Dustin Schwartz's style. He's not the one who implemented this style. He's just the one who is teaching it because everybody else is teaching it. I don't think he thinks for himself. I don't think he brainstorms. I think he's just kind of teaching the norm, the safe method.
Loving the salaries, loving the paycheck. Doesn't give. I just can't I'm so sick and tired of watching this clown get paid year after year and do nothing for our goaltending. Not a thing. You bring a guy like, Roley. Like, Rolliston stole us that playoff series, like the playoff run. You got to admit that. He was on his head. He was making saves he had no business making. And there's no fire in our goaltenders. There's no, will to win no matter what. There's no Hasek. There's no Cujo. There's no nothing in our goaltenders. And if you look at the top goalies in the league right now, they all have that fire. They all do, every one of them.
I'll say this. I don't think the Oilers have had a consistent number one goaltender year after year since Tommy Salo.
100%. Totally agree.
So I get, Chad, that you don't buy for 1 second that, the goaltending coach, I've heard people say that, the goalie coaches in the NHL are just kind of there. That these guys have their own goalie coaches that they go to in the summer, and the goalie coach can't really teach them anything. So you don't buy that for 1 single second, do you?
No, I think Schwartz has a huge impact on what Tippett decides and what the team sees. And I think that as a goalie coach, especially a foreign goalie like Koskinen coming in, you want to impress him because he's the final decision maker. These coaches don't make decisions on nothing. It's Dustin, who's playing tonight. I guarantee it.
Well, I don't think he makes the final decision, but Tippett relies on him for feedback, though, so that Tippett can make his final decision 100%. Yeah. And I think nowadays it's different. The coaches, like a goalie coach, will play a pivotal role now. Obviously, there used to never be goalie coaches, so you're kind of your own coach. But now there's so much emphasis on different parts of the game that each part has their own coach, and they get relied on quite a bit. Now, do they still have other coaches during the summer? For sure they do. Guys they trust and they work with. But I guarantee you that Schwartz probably gets in touch with that guy as well, and they talk, and then they kind of amend the style accordingly. Now, what you make a good point there, Chad, about Mike Smith. Mike Smith has been in this league long enough. He's not going to change his style. He's 39 years old. This is the way he is now, and it works if he can stay healthy. And that doesn't mean he doesn't listen to Schwartz. I'm sure, but he's smart enough to know what works for him and what doesn't. So if Schwartz says something to him that's like, you know what, that might work, he'll probably implement it. But if Schwartz feeds him 80% of the stuff that Mike Smith says does not work for my style, he won't use it. Like, he's been in this league long enough, he's a veteran enough to know what works for him and what doesn't. So Schwartz has an impact, yes, but probably a lot more minimal, but for sure a lot more minimal than against Mikko Koskinen or Skinner, who are still kind of trying to find their name in this game.
Oh, 100% agree. But you can tell, you can see that Mike Smith hasn't changed one iota really of his game from the time he got here to now, other than maybe a little less competitive, because I'm pretty sure he tweaked his groin pretty bad, and that's what's keeping him out. But that's about it for Mike. He takes care of himself and he does his own thing. Whereas Mikko, yes, I agree with you that in the offseason, Mikko has his own goaltender. And if you look at the start of every year, Mikko comes in guns blazing. He plays well, he does good, and then shits the bed. And then he gets better throughout the year as he's fighting alongside Mike Smith, and Mike Smith's helping him. And I'm pretty sure if I was Mike, I know what I'd be doing, Mikko. Get your ass out, you're 6'7", play your game, don't listen to that idiot. That's what I would say to him. Watch your video, practice hard, be out to top of your crease, no one's scoring on you. You're the biggest sheet of plywood on the ice. No one's going to score on you. If I was Mike Smith, that's how I would talk to Mikko Koskinen. In fact, if I was Dustin Schwartz, that's what I would say. What are you doing? Get your ass out there. Well, what if they make a pass? The defenseman's problem, not yours. Like, it's like they're teaching goalies now in the NHL that you have to be everywhere or you're going to get the yank. You're not a starting goaltender. There's no onus anymore on defensive play. There's no onus on any of that crap anymore. What was it like for you? 2-on-1? What is your coach or any goalie coach you ever had tell you to do? What was your responsibility on 2-on-1?
Take the shooter.
Always take the shooter. You see the goalies in the NHL today, back in their crease, back in their goal post, anticipating a pass or having to play both. That's not the way it works.
No. And I 100% agree with you, Chad. And I've seen that last 5 to 6 years where that's becoming increasingly popular, where the goalie. So how many times do you see the shooter on 2-on-1, when he shoots the puck, it catches the goalie by surprise almost?
Yes.
Because you have a plan B. And that is, I got to watch out for the pass. Now,
yes.
No. Defensemen should be staying in the middle until that's the decision time where he just veers off and takes away the pass. And it's just you and the shooter.
100%. And you're just a big sheet of plywood. And when he goes in for the deke, you throw the stick. The old poke jack days, Ronnie Exdal and the boys. And that was the way it was. Right? That part's gone from the game. Right? Now, granted, I have to admit that today's shooters I would hate to fake them. I would hate to fake them. They are picking spots that they have no business picking.
100%.
Who was the most dangerous guy on the ice last night?
For the Oilers?
No, for Carolina.
Ooh.
Good question.
Svechnikov.
Trocheck was everywhere.
Yeah, he was.
Svechnikov. Yeah, 100%.
He didn't care where he was on the ice, and he's doing no-look shots and that. I mean, he almost caught Mikko from an angle that had no business being close.
Yeah. And people forget that too, and they're bitching about our goaltending in Facebook, which I can't watch anymore. It drives me nuts and they're crazy because they have no idea what it's like to actually be a goaltender. But it's a different game. And these guys can score. Like, look at Leon scores from the goal line how many times against great goaltenders. Like, these guys, their ability to shoot the puck now is so different than what you and I faced when we were growing up.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Though, when we were playing, you'd have your top 6 guys were the guys that you feared, and you could kind of take a quote unquote break when the third or fourth line came out there. You can't do that here in this league now. You can't do it all. All these guys can shoot. Like, there's guys who are playing on the fourth line in the AHL who played in our first line in their junior career. Like
Ryan McLeod.
I've been impressed with him. All right.
Me too. I love Ryan McLeod. I think he does great. So I mean, to sit there and diss on Koskinen that he's not a starting goaltender. Who is a starting goaltender in the NHL? Who is?
Oh, there are tons, and the reason why I say that is because I'll tell you this. Because Koskinen has. Here's the problem. He kind of does this to himself. He gets shit on more than he needs to, 100%. But he does have the tendency of letting in that bad goal, right? And I'm a Koskinen booster, Chad. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like Mikko, but I like him as a number 2. He lets in that bad goal, and you know as well as I do that one bad goal replaces 10 great saves. Like, it's just, people remember the one bad goal. They don't remember your 10 great saves to get there, right? And that's what happened. That's what happened to Carolina game here, because actually Mikko played really good, but he let in one really bad stinker where he mishandled the puck behind. But it took a nasty bounce, mind you. But that second goal should have had two.
Second goal, I'll give him the second goal. The third one, I do wish I understand why he's starting, or why he plays the puck as much as he does. But so there's times where I do wish Mikko would just stay in his net and say to hell with it. Yeah. And that was a crappy, weird-ass bounce, and it wasn't his fault, but it resulted in us losing the game. Now, that being said, with our offensive prowess, we should have kicked the shit out of Carolina.
Well, I made this point on Twitter yesterday. I said, everybody's shitting on Koskinen that we lost, but let's face it, we have scored 5 goals in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
We used to score 5 goals a game. What happened to our offense? What's going on there?
Yeah, exactly. What is going? Other teams are defensively figuring out the Oilers, their set plays.
Also, this, Chad, and Dursa here. The last 3 games have been stolen by the other team's goaltender. Now, if you don't think these goalies get jacked up to face Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, are you kidding me? I tried at my best knowing I was going against the top team in the league, the top shooters in the league. Like, you get so pumped up for those games because you know you're going to have to make a difference. So these goalies are coming in, and like they say on Sportsnet all the times, like they're playing like they're Vezina candidates. Yeah, because they're jacking themselves up with their Vezina candidates. They're going out there believing they can stop these guys, right?
Yep. It's 100% right. Durst, you still there?
I'm still here, yeah. Just let you guys go sometimes, That's what you got to do. Yeah. Who in your guys' mind is the best goalie in the NHL right now?
I'm gonna go off the board here, Dursa, because I call this beginning of the year as my Vezina winner for this coming year, and it's Tristan Jarry.
Wow, that was creepy. You and I don't get along. We don't really agree very often, but I am 100% a Jarry fan. I think that kid's something else. Wow.
I think he's playing good. He's finally getting some due, not as much as he should. But yeah, I think right now, currently in today's NHL, I think Jack what's his face there in Toronto? How come I forgot his name just like that? Stupid. Jack Campbell. I think he's probably played the best of any goalie this year in the NHL, but I don't think he is the best goalie in the NHL. I think Tristan Jarry has that right now currently.
Just based on the team in front of him and what he's doing success-wise.
Yeah. The time, it's not just making saves. It's the timing of the saves. Like I've watched probably 7 or 8 Pittsburgh games this year, and the timing he has, like he knows when the team needs that save. Like, and I haven't seen him let in too many stinkers yet this year neither.
That I just remembered my train of thought there went off the track, as it usually does sometimes now. When Mikko played that puck behind the net there, when it did take that bad hop on him, if he wouldn't have stuck out his skate and just let the puck go, he would have been fine.
Yeah, but in the moment, it doesn't work that way. In the moment, you're like, oh shit, literally.
Yeah. You think
it's your goalie? Your goalie reflex takes over, and the puck takes a bounce. You're trying to stop it. Yeah, it was a shitty bounce, but
and
I would have done the same thing.
And you don't know what's behind you, right? So yeah.
And see, it's so fun to say what we would have done watching the replays. Like 2 days after the game, what could have happened, but in the moment, I know exactly what Koskinen was thinking. Whatever his language is, oh shit, that's exactly what he was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know what's on your 6, and so you can't just let it go. But it's kind of familiar with when the Stanley Cup Series against Carolina.
Let's not go there, Durst. Seriously, we're having such a good conversation.
Got to bring up Ty.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that pretty much killed Conklin's career in Edmonton, and I think in the NHL.
Which was also unfair. I thought Conklin was an underrated goalie too, and to be honest, on that particular play there, that was a combination between him and Jason Smith. I didn't like the fact that Conklin got the whole shitstorm on him. That was unwarranted.
No, but the only thing he did wrong, in my opinion, if I was coming in cold, I wouldn't play that puck. Not in that game.
Yeah, you know what?
But he was
I know what you're saying.
he was a puck handling goalie too, right?
Well, he was, but also, like you said, yeah, he came in cold, and but I think that was one of his ways too. Like, you want to get your puck touches early to feel like you're in the game. So maybe, I'll agree with you, Chad. Maybe he forced it, especially in that situation. But I also understand kind of where he was coming from.
The crucialness of that moment. Now I'm in my net directing,
and we didn't want.
I'll let Bergeron or I'll let Smith know where the puck's going, but it's up to them from that point. I'm going to be watching that puck and keep staying on it. That cold, I'm saying. And unless when you have 60 minutes of hockey left to play, you want to get some touches, you want to get into the game, you want to. But in that situation, I wouldn't have a chance.
And we didn't want to go there, but we totally went there. What do you guys think of the fire tippet train and all that right now?
It's horseshit. It's terrible. That's a cop out. It totally is. So we're off to one of our best starts in recent history, and now we hit a bump in the road, a big bump for sure. But this is what you do: is you hit a big bump in the road and you panic, like fire everybody. Like it's such a cop out. These are all these calls are coming from people sitting on the couch watching at home. Like anybody who knows anything about hockey is like that's a panic move and the worst timing possibly. You think things are going turmoil now? You fire the coach and it's like added drama to something that doesn't need to be.
This is why I say I hate Facebook land.
No, 100%.
Yeah, the guy, the people yapping on Facebook, it's like they just do it because they want to be heard, like their voice should matter, but firing Dave Tippett, it would be the stupidest thing that we could do at this point in time. And I agree with Bob. Like, there's nothing wrong with our record. We're still in playoff contention. Coming into the Christmas time, like, let the boys just play. We're going to go through slumps. I'm sick and tired of people thinking that we need to win every bloody hockey game in the regular season like it matters. Get to the playoffs.
Wouldn't you rather have this happen now than down on like at game 71? Like,
all I can think about is what kind of a team we are, come, February, March. Like that's when this team is the hottest, and I can't wait for that point in time. Everything now to me is just figuring out the team, getting through injury. We got a whole pile of injuries that we're getting through. Like, give them a break, and don't think those guys don't read that, because they do, and it irritates me. I know they do. Because all of a sudden there'll be a bash Mikko night, and the next game when he plays decent, the guys will be in the post game talking about how good Mikko was. Like they got to stand up for him.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Where I come from on this is right now it's a little bit of adversity, and I don't care what kind of team you are and what sport, you're going to go through some of it. I'm not on the fire tippet train myself right now. But I'll clarify that by saying he needs to win a playoff round for me. If he can't get that done, in I guess it'll be May this year. If the Olympics actually do happen, the end of the regular season is pretty much the end of April, so May is when we're going to be seeing playoffs. If he can't win a round this year, I think then it's time to find a new coach. I think he's got the weapons that it should get you through one round at least.
How many playoff series did Glenn Sather win for the Oilers?
I'm not even sure.
None. He didn't win any series for the Oilers.
Okay, now you're talking like Sutherland that we used to play with.
How many playoff series did Glenn Sather win for the Oilers?
So
are you gonna say all the players want it or what?
He had a team out in the ice and he could let play hockey. Yeah, he made some really good decisions and whatnot, but the guys on the ice are the ones that win the playoff series. Let's face facts.
Yeah, but so I know what you're saying there, Chad, but I like, you can't say that Glenn Sather didn't play like a pivotal role into helping these boys win those layouts. Yeah, he let them play. That's part of his coaching style. You're recognizing what you have and letting them play. But especially when it comes to even in the 80s are in your bottom six, like there's still stuff he had to do with them to make sure they weren't the weakest link.
We never had a weakest link in the 80s, so even in our bottom 9.
Oh, we could go into detail on that. We had some really weak players even in the 80s. That Gretzky and Messi and Curry and Anderson, these guys, they kind of made it so those guys were invisible.
Sure. We had great teams, is what we had in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one key, what I am so happy about this year with the Oilers, what I see is that the dressing room, there's no cancer in our dressing room right now.
No, I agree.
Everybody's got everybody's back. It reminds me of the boys on the bus. That's what's exciting. Dave Tippett is going to do what Dave Tippett does. And really, today's NHL coaches, you're worried about matchups, you're worried about, getting key guys on the ice at the right time. But at the end of the day, it's the guys in the room do all the talking. And if they're all a cohesive unit and they're all buying into what this team wants, which I truly believe this year finally, it seems like everybody in the room is a friend of each other, which we haven't seen in a long time either.
I am going to agree with Dursa though on this one. Is because of expectation and the team that we have, we do need to see a playoff win. And if Tippett can't help deliver that, then maybe we do need to look elsewhere for that. Because let's face it, like in 2006 when we went to our Stanley Cup final there, I think that run saved McTavish's job at that time.
And you're going to say McTavish was the reason for that run?
No, he was the reason. But he helped steer the ship. And this is what I'm saying, how important a playoff series can be for coaches, though. Because we were struggling, and we had a decent team, we were struggling. Then 2006, all of a sudden, we make this run, and that's you can't fire a coach after going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Well, you can, but it would look stupid. So that saved his job. So in a situation like this, we have expectations for this Oilers team, because I truly believe the Oilers right now, power rankings-wise, are probably a top 3 team in the NHL. And so that makes us legit Stanley Cup contenders. We expect this from them. We expect success from them because of the team we have, and we should expect it. With this 100%. Team we have, we should expect success. So we need the captain of the ship here, or the manager, I guess, since McDavid is our captain. But we need the guy at the helm here to deliver.
So how much input does McDavid have on the day-to-day of the Oilers?
I bet you he has a lot more than we realize. Well, no, not to realize, but probably more often than not, when he's talking to the younger players, probably has more influence on the team than Tippett does.
Exactly, and Gretzky never did, honestly. What made Sather a great coach was knowing each player individually and being dad to every one of them.
Yeah,
that was Sather's strongest point. He was able to run that bench because he was the authority. Tippett is not the authority.
Well,
in fact, they don't have an authority in any coach other than Tortorelli, but he just yells a lot and says stupid shit.
And the thing with that is, though, Chad, and I don't disagree with you, but that's how much the game has changed as well. So, like in the 80s and stuff, you could coach the individuals and let the individuals play as long as you stay within a certain system, right? So they not have like a 5-man forecheck or garbage like that, right? Yep. Today's game is based on systems. Like for us to have guys like, well, McDavid is an anomaly. Like this guy's not even from Earth, so let's take him out of the equation. But to have guys like Crosby or Ovechkin, Patrick Kane, these guys that carry the puck that end to end, it's spectacular because it's not really what we're used to seeing. Like in the 80s, you had Eisman could do it, Lemieux could do it, Gretzky could do it, right? Bernie Federko could do it. Like you had probably 3 or 4 guys on each team that had the ability to carry a puck that way. Not as dominantly as, like, say, McDavid again, right? But now you have like 5 guys in the league who can do it.
We didn't see it as dominant and as predominant back then because most of them had 4 sticks jubbed in the rib cage while they're doing it. That doesn't happen anymore.
But how often, like nowadays, when you see a guy make a rush, it's mind blowing. You're standing up watching it happen, and because the game is so system oriented now, it's such a rarity that happens. It's all about passing it into the system or dumping and chasing it in, kind of thing. Like the guys carry it through 4 guys is ridiculous, but it's amazing.
How many guys sitting on this podcast right now think that McDavid scored against New York after he beat 4 guys cleanly because the goalie was shocked? Like, pardon?
Okay, here's the thing. I was at that game. I was at the game, and I was sitting behind the Ranger net, up quite a bit, right? But it's the best goal I've ever seen in person. And I didn't even cheer at the time. My mouth just dropped and I couldn't even breathe. Like, what did I just witness? Like, it was just like, that's, I don't know what you do there. Like, if I'm the Ranger goalie there, I think I just shit my pants and hope for the best. Like
I think he was watching. Like, oh crap, I'm playing. Whoops. Like, wow. Like, it was insane.
I asked Jason Strudwick when we had him on, like, you know, if you're defending, what would you do differently? And you know what he said? Go off on a change.
This goes back to what Chad was saying too about the shooters today. Like, number one, all the coaching you get now from a kid on, all the equipment, the technology, that sort of stuff. Like, the game's at a whole new level, and like what McDavid does in this day and age, and in a time where that shouldn't even be possible. Like, we can't take for granted this guy. Watching this kid now, we should be so thankful as not just Oiler fans, but hockey fans to be able to be living in the age where we can watch this kid play. Like, he is doing things that's never been done. I still say Gretzky's the greatest hockey player of all time. The thing that made him the greatest was his brain. He has a hockey IQ that's through the charts. He was also a phenomenal passer, don't get me wrong. He was never the greatest skater, never the greatest shooter. His passing was elite. His brain was beyond elite. Connor McDavid is the most skilled hockey player I have ever seen.
Yeah, Sidney Crosby, I'll agree with you.
Like, the things he does at the speed he does is ridiculous. I've never seen a player do that. Never.
No. Sidney Crosby said exactly that same thing. So
and I'm not saying McDavid is the greatest player of all time. That's way too early to say that. Gretzky still is. Like, McDavid is still developing his brain, his hockey IQ. Like, he's not even in his prime. Like, what is this kid capable of in today's game?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait.
The accolades need to, you know, go to the team level instead of the individual level for him to start to climb the ladder there when it comes to that.
I'm glad you brought that up, Durs, because I think that gets underappreciated 100%.
When you know, when the Oilers walked off the ice against Carolina, the Boo Birds came out, and you know, Kelly Rudy and Hockey Night in Canada seemed to make a big deal out of it. I don't know, if I'm a professional athlete and I just lost, I think, our fifth straight game, I'm thinking you're hating the losing streak more than you are hearing some boos as you're skating off the ice. To me, I didn't take any offense to it. People pay their money; they can do whatever they want. As far as I'm concerned, to a certain extent. I mean, let's not be racist or homophobic in the rink, but you know, you want to boo because you're dissatisfied with the product on the ice. Have at her. I think the players probably, you know, didn't get offended by it either. They probably, you know, are pissed at themselves and don't want to lose anymore. And kind of, I think, you know, if everybody was cheering and clapping as they're heading off the ice after dropping another game, you know, I think that would send the wrong message. You know, they're not babies. They don't need to be coddled. They're professional athletes, and that's how I come at that. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, for sure. Booing it's a part of sports, and I, you know, having said that, I don't feel like the real hockey fans, they're not booing the individuals. They're booing. It's a sign of frustration. I don't even think they're really booing at the team as much as just booing at the situation. Shit, we lost 5 in a row, and let's face it, 5 in a row. Like I said, a bump in the road, but it's 5 is a concerning number. Like 3 is a bump. 4 is like, oh shit. 5 is concerning. Like something needs to happen and happen soon, kind of thing, right? Firing the coach isn't that, but it's just fans being frustrated. Like I was watching that game at home, and I was like, yeah, I'm not a booer, but I was like, I said the TV. I told the TV, oh shit, here we go, I guess. You know, because I love this team, but it's frustration.
Did you know?
100%.
Did you know it was going to be a goal when Cassian took that penalty?
I've definitely lost a lot of I guess, trust in our penalty kill lately. That's for sure. and our power play for that matter. Like, you want to talk about, like, blame your goalie all you want, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Nico's the all-star of the year. I trust him enough to make saves when saves are needed, and the guys have that trust in him too. But our power play, our penalty kill have just gone down to zero, and I don't get it. And I get it. You can read play. Like, guys watch game tape all the time, and I know that teams are learning the Oilers inside and out, because when they come to our building, it's back to the 80s. Everybody wants to come play Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, right? So they study us maybe more than they would study the Sabres, right?
Yeah.
So these guys have to even jump up their game even more creativity in the creativity level and come up with, I don't even know. Like, it just seems like we've hit a real lull. Our injuries are really starting to show.
I think there should be more emphasis on our offense than there is on our goaltending. That's for sure. Like I said before, 5 goals in 4 games. The PP, I'll say, is hasn't actually looked that bad. It's just we haven't scored. Like, we got these Vezina goalies all of a sudden stealing, no-name Vezina goalies stealing the show. But I agree with you 100%. Our PK has been an area of concern lately. They started off hot and has definitely taken a tail.
They have to add more wrinkles to the power play than just trying to find Leon on the right side there. That's.
They've been working on that even with Connor switching sides and whatnot. Like, they are doing different things, and even still, like, the guys set an unattainable precedent at the start of the year.
50%, yeah.
Power play percentage the NHL's ever seen, and we were never going to maintain that. I don't care what anybody says. It was never going to happen. So we saw greatness, and then all of a sudden now we're seeing, okay, a power play might be good for a goal a game if we're lucky, just like every other team in the league.
Our power play looked good against Boston, looked good against Carolina. Minnesota didn't look good on, but we dictated the play on the power play against Boston and Carolina. Swayman was phenomenal in the Bruins game, and
was the Minnesota game.
Yeah.
Talbot came into the building against the Oilers this time with a point to prove. And the worst part is that these guys on Facebook that are dissing Koskinen, they're not watching any other hockey. They don't see that these goalies that come into Edmonton and stand on their head, and then we should be picking up every one of them and having them all on our game. When they leave and go to Calgary, they get the shit beat out of them, right? Because they worked their ass off so hard against the Oilers. If they go to Calgary, they're not so hyped up for it.
I think you'll see this a lot from passionate fan bases, kind of thing. Is it's Oiler focus, and I'm not saying that's bad, but you got to see the big picture. Like, honestly, like, we could have been Philadelphia losing 10 games in a row, right? So, like, look at the big picture. Yeah, it was a bump in the road, but it could be a lot worse. We still have the greatest 2 hockey players in the game itself. Like, we have a Stanley Cup contending team. Like,
and a ton of season left.
Yeah, ton of season left. So we'll get through this, but we're so in our bubble tunnel vision, saying 5-game losing streak. Like, we're okay. We'll get through this. So.
And how much of this is media hype? How much of it is, the needing to print headlines and making things, the Debbie Downer syndrome that the media likes to kick out there?
I don't know, Chad. Do you think anybody even reads the media anymore? Like, it's all, everybody does their own posts. Like, everybody makes up their own story, and then, like, everybody's media now. Like, with social media, everybody is the media.
Well, Mike Durst has turned into a journalist.
We should ask the professionals. Eh?
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
What do you think, journalist Mike Durst said?
Yeah. So games coming up this week: Tuesday against the Leafs, Thursday against the Jackets, and Saturday against the Kraken. Where does this skid stop?
I think the Leafs. If they beat the Leafs, that'll be a big confidence boost for this club.
We will beat the Leafs.
I'm with you. I actually think they're going to win 2 of the 3.
Those games can get pretty vocal when it's an original 6 team in Edmonton.
But you love that.
Yeah.
You love that. And I get pissed off too at the uneducated fans and saying this fire tip and all that kind of garbage, trade costs and this sort of stuff. But this is what we do. Like, we're a hockey city. We're a hockey nation. Like, the Canadian hockey fans, you'll see this in Vancouver, you see this in Ottawa, you see this in Montreal, you go on any one of those teams' fan-based Twitter pages, it's all the same theme. Whenever the team is struggling, fire this guy. This guy's struggling, trade him. Like, this is what we do as Canadians. We're so passionate. Our lives revolve around hockey.
My life doesn't revolve around it so much that I want to fire a guy because he had a bad game or two.
Yeah.
I mean, it revolves around the game, but I understand it more than I would, than to say fire Tyson Berry for a stupid play on the power play. Tyson, or fire this guy, because we see more than just that one stupid play or that one oops or whatever, right?
But this is where that's the difference between just a fan and an educated fan, and that's the thing. It's the educated fans, and when you find them, I love talking to those guys online because you actually have some great conversations. It's not just name calling, Barry's a bitch, Koskinen suck, that sort of thing. Like, you actually have a good conversation. If a guy can come up to me and tell me a theory of why he believes Tippett should go, I listen to the guy. If he's making good points, I don't have to agree with him. But if he's making an educated argument towards it, now we're having our conversation. If you're just firing Tippett because you're pissed off the team's lost 5 games, you have no say, really. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
What I am seeing a lot more on social media, though, is fire Dustin Schwartz, so that makes me happy.
But you're starting that hashtag, aren't you?
What? No. What are you talking about?
This has now become a conspiracy theory podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Where did it come from?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's shocking.
But he does need to be fired. At the end of the day, he needs to be fired. He's the last common denominator that we have to see in our goaltending.
Well, I mean,
I'd like to see Mikko work with somebody new and get freedom. I want to see the Mikko after that. I'd be very interested to see that.
I mean, we've tried getting rid of everybody else in the organization.
Right?
Why not him?
La Cucaracha Schwartz?
First off, I don't think Mikko will ever become a starter because he's already 33, right? And so he's got a short window there. But I want to say, Chad, you actually give me something to think about here because out of all the things, I consider myself an educated hockey fan. Now, I feel kind of stupid. I never factored in the Dustin Schwartz thing, especially as a goalie myself, that I never really factored that in as being maybe a possible cause of the problem. I think you actually bring up a good point there. That's something that needs to be looked at, especially since their styles, we were talking Koskinen and Skinner more now, how their styles have changed since they've come here, like in Edmonton, from Bakersfield, from Europe. Their styles have changed. Now they've been an Oiler.
Yes, they had to relearn how to be a goaltender to be an Oiler. That is not fair. They didn't sign Mikko Koskinen to be Dustin Schwartz's little puppy. When Mikko first came to the league, and what got him his contract was his Hasek style play. He's big, he was athletic, and he was everywhere. And he had so much energy and so much passion. It just looked like it's gone. Like, I have to sit here, I have to be butterfly, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to play odds. It's taken away Mikko's drive to play. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I've seen him, he's been a kind of a mundane goalie, I would call him.
Watch his first year. I'm telling you right now, watch when he came to the league right from the get-go, when he got his first 4 starts or whatever, he was everywhere. He was big, solid, and he was everywhere. Mikko got his contract based on his first year.
Oh, man.
He got 25 wins his first year, too, with Edmonton.
He was amazing. And then he just, boom, gone.
Do you see?
That's why I'll never not be a Mikko fan, because he came to this league with fire in his belly and a Hasek leg mentality, and it just got taken away by that loser Schwartz idiot.
It feels like he's on borrowed time though, and that he has been for about a year and a half or 2 years.
Sure, but I'm still not going to give up on the guy because he had the opportunity to be a starting goaltender in this league. I'm telling you, if he went to Detroit or New York, he would be. Where they actually let those European goalies just flourish, he would have been a starting goaltender. But because he came here, not going to happen.
A lot's going to depend now when or if Mike Smith comes back and what form he is in. So
Bob, you know better than anybody else. He's not coming back.
It's funny.
There's no doubt in my mind that the delay is because he's 39. Your body doesn't heal as quickly anymore, or completely for that matter. If he does come back, he has to prove that he can play at the same level he was playing before he got hurt, and that he can stay healthy. If that doesn't happen, we are going to trade for a goalie. And the guy who's going to be leaving is Koskinen.
I think it'll be Skinner.
No,
I think
because what you're gonna do is you're gonna swap contracts. You're gonna find another goalie, and ideally for me, I'm saying it would be Fleury. But his contract is up end of this year. Kostinen's contract is up this year, so these are both short-term commitments just for this year. And that's kind of what I said. Fleury would be my hope, but I see a guy maybe like Jonathan Bernier or Braden Holtby would be in the running for something like that. So if that is, and it's all dependent on Mike Smith, I guarantee you. If he can come back healthy and prove that he can play at that level and they can stay healthy, then we're okay. But if not, we're gonna have to make a move.
My secret insights are always going to be like, I just want Schwartz to like get really like sick, and not too bad sick, but have to be home first the whole season, and just let Mikko play his game. That's my hope.
Take
like,
this.
Not too bad. So at the end of the year, Dustin Schwartz can all of a sudden be healthy again. That's fine with me, but he just needs to not be a part of anything going on with his team right now.
Take this for what you will, but Jason Gregor today said, hearing Oilers believe Smith could play Tuesday. If everything goes well in practice tomorrow, he could return for first time since October 19th. Jason Gregor also said that it was an ankle injury, and I called bullshit on that. So
he hurt his groin again, and that's the thing. Once you hurt it once, it's going to always be a reoccurring thing. And the problem, I know they're not going to, whether they say it or they don't, I can see it. Mike Smith he's my age, or like he's getting up there, and I still deal with my groin injury. You and I talked about this, Mike. The other day, like I still deal with my groin injury today. It's not something that goes away. And at that level, it's the one thing that stopped Mike Smith from being that competitive. Mike Smith is his groin, and it sucks.
I snapped my groin at 31 years old. I'm 46 now, and even to play like beer league as a skater, when I play softball, it's the groin I stretch the most because I'll still feel it. So.
Yeah, so it sucks because he's playing at elite level, right? So you have to be able to be the Mike Smith that we knew. I don't think Mike can come back just because of his age. As Mike Smith, I mean.
Yeah.
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 Lots to be seen there.
He'll sure give it a college effort, though. I know he will.
Oh.
The guy has no quit in his game, in his mind, period. But it just, it's gonna be interesting to see. And I do agree that, but even so, you're thinking getting Fleury for a rental for the year to see how they do in the playoffs?
Yeah, because here's the thing, and Ken Holland has said this too. We have to go all in. Like, we have the team, we have the core. We have the two greatest hockey players in the world. We have a great surrounding staff, right? So we do have a question mark when it comes to goaltending. We do, just because of the history we've had with it here the last couple of years. If Mike Smith was healthy and he played like last year, I would have no problems with a Smith-Koskinen run in the playoffs, because Koskinen is a very good backup goalie. But there's a question mark. If Mike Smith can play as good as he did and it'll be healthy. So we swap contracts. It would be Koskinen for whoever we get in return, and it'll be a rental.
And I hope that he has a plan for next year.
Who's that?
Holland, if Koskinen's gone.
Well, he chased the goalie hard this offseason. We really want Markstrom, right? Yeah. And so this is why I want to see more of Stuart Skinner. Maybe we don't have to chase a goalie in the offseason. Maybe we have a stud goalie here that can grow with the team. And
you're still going to need that number one, though. And if you think it's going to be Mikey, I don't know Mikey's got much time left.
No, it won't be. That's why I'm saying for next year, though. I'm talking next year. Maybe Skinner's ready to be number one next year if we give him enough starts here to find his game consistently.
So you're hoping we sign Fleury to a 1 year after this year?
I'm hoping we've done it. Oh, you're talking like for a backup next year, or a 1A 1B?
Yeah, because if you're letting Mikko go this year, what's going to be next year?
Well, here's the thing, though. We do still have Mike Smith next year. He signed a 2-year contract, so again, it'd be very health dependent. But if not, then we'd have to get a veteran backup or a 1A, 1B kind of thing, for sure.
Because you're running Skinner? Like, what are you going to do for next year?
I want Skinner to be our number one. He's not ready to be number one this year. He isn't. And he's been too inconsistent. I want to see more starts from him, definitely, just to see what we have in him.
So is Skinner inconsistent in Bakersfield?
No.
Not at all, is he?
No.
So what the hell happened when he came up to the big show?
I know you're going to go with Dustin Schwartz again, but and that's not irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. But the game is also a lot different. Like the AHL to NHL is still actually a giant leap. And
Sure. And when Skinner was playing his first 3 games or 2 games, he didn't win them, but he was on his head. Like I thought he was like, I was like, holy crap, this kid is something else.
Yeah.
Like he was really solid positionally. He was big. He was in the right place at the right time. It just didn't work out for winning, but it just seemed like after he lost a couple of games, they get in their mind that they got to go listen to somebody and try to change, like a golfer. You're never satisfied with your golf swing. It's like, don't change what isn't broke.
Well, I know. I'm not disagreeing with you, for sure.
In Buffalo,
and like I said,
in Buffalo and Detroit, Skinner was the only reason it was a hockey game.
Yes. When that's totally on the team. That had nothing to do with Stuart Skinner.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Bob. I think I hope Skinner's the future of the club, because I think that kid has a lot of upside potential for sure. So the least amount of time he spends with Schwartz is going to be good for him. Just saying.
And again, I'm not disagreeing.
Hashtag fire dust.
The problem is though, Chad, if we get another goalie coach in, they're probably teaching the same system like the 28 other goalie coaches are doing right now in the NHL. Because you see so many of these goalies are playing the same style.
I know. So like hire Fear, hire Radford, bring him in, and just let them coach the mind rather than the style. They can watch video and learn all about their style. They know what they're doing. They're in the bloody NHL. Right? We need goalie coaches that are coming in teaching the mind side of the game rather than the positional side of the game.
Well, that's actually a great point, because when I got scouted way back in the day, it's after the original 6 era though, so I'm not that old. But we went and I had a talk with the scout, and we talked for 3 hours. We had a discussion about my 2 favorite things, myself and hockey. And then
Perfect.
And one of the things he asked me was what would you give a ratio for mental, physical as a goaltender? How much percentage wise would it be? And I said, well, it's probably 50-50, 50% physical, 50% mental. He said, no, it's more like 70-30. It's 70% mental, 30% physical. And so, yeah, for sure. Like you hear about confidence, and you hear about, all those kind of analytics or reading the play and that sort of thing. And it's 100% accurate. Like for you to reading the play, being in position, and just that your confidence levels is the biggest thing of all. A confident goalie, a goalie that's in the zone, it's the best feeling in the world. You feel like you're unbreakable.
Yes, that's what makes goalies better golfers. They have stronger minds. Right? You're the last. You're it. Like if your mind's not in the game, then you're toast. If a fourth line defenseman's mind isn't in the game, nobody notices. Right? So that's, as a goalie coach, I would definitely spend way more time on the mental aspect of the game rather than the physical. These guys are there for a reason. Mm-hmm. They know how to stop a puck. Mikko's issue is his mind. That's what needs to be worked on. And Schwartz isn't doing it. He's got to working on positional shit tape. And who's working on Mikko's mind? Right? Who? Do they have a team, Bob Rotella, or what do they have? Like that's the thing. We've never had anybody that works with these goalies where they need to be worked with.
Well, now you got me thinking, Chad. I might go throw in my application at the Oilers office here now and be a goalie mind coach.
There you go.
I'm serious. Why not? I'd root for you. I'd cheer. I'd give you a reference. What's missing from those goaltenders? Mike Smith doesn't have that issue because his mind is solid and he's almost 40 years old. You're not going to change that old dog. Confident, he knows he can play. He doesn't care what Schwartz or what Tippett even has to say. I mean, a little bit more about Tippett because him and Tippett are old buddies, but He doesn't give a crap. Justin Schwartz is nothing to him. Like, he means nothing to him. He might actually. Justin Schwartz works well with Mike Smith because maybe he can help Mike a little bit with some positional things in the new age goaltending. But he sure as the hell doesn't need to work on, or will work on Mike's mind, because Mike's mind is already Mike's mind. Mm-hmm. But a guy like Nico, he's gone through so much crap, and he's foreign. Like, people don't take that into account either. He's not from here.
Well, and you can tell this too, because he is playing better than last year. He still has some big moments, but last year was a rough year for him. And one of the biggest things he was saying was how much he, like, away from his family and those sort of things. Yeah. That's a mental thing. That's a mental thing. Yeah.
It's all mental. So go in and apply with the Oilers, please. Go work with Nico.
Okay, I'm on it.
Yes.
That might be something you're onto anyway with the whole team and the slow starts. It's all just kind of, the mental side of the game. I mean, I don't know if the Oilers need to bring in a Phil Jackson kind of clone where they work on kind of getting into a Zen state and mental training where you're picturing yourself winning hockey games and what it's going to take to do it and all that, or maybe it's something as simple as putting on a little, like, I don't know, drowning pool, bodies hit the floor in the dressing room before you come out. I don't know, but
that's what made Glenn Sather so great was his ability to be that for the players. He knew each one of them, each and every player individually. He was able to be a mind coach for those guys. Mm-hmm. He kept them in check. He was the authority, and he was great with their minds.
Yeah,
that's what Glenn.
And maybe more in tune with the players, really, rather than, okay, I come in and, with the suit on and put a couple of plays and lines on the blackboard and walk out the door. Like, maybe there needs to be a little bit more of that emotional connection with the players. And
how many times do you think that Glenn Sather said to Wayne, "I need you and Messi sitting here in the hash mark and set plays and do this and that"? No, Sather said, "How you guys feeling, Wayne? This is your time, Mark. You go out there and you guys do you. How you feeling?" And they were like, "We're feeling good. Go. Do you. You guys go do you."
Yeah, I mean, Strudwick brings up an interesting point with these starts, too. I mean, line matching before the game's even started. Start McDavid. He's ready to play. So why do you make him sit? Set the tone early. Pair up McDavid and Draisaitl right off the bat. Get the lead. And then change up your lines. Like, why does it always go to those guys when you're trailing rather than put the other team on their heels?
Yeah, and this is the one area where I do question Tippett as a coach. That's mind-boggling to me that how we're still starting slow. Like, why is our team not prepared to come out hard to begin the game? Like, that's the only part. Like, what are we missing there? Like, where is that voice that kicks them in the ass? Like, I don't understand how. Like, we're 25 games in, 26 games in. Is this just the team we are now? We're just a slow starting team. We just got to accept it and work around it. Like, something that has to be addressed. Like, I don't understand why we're not prepared to come out hard.
I think if you're a head coach of an NHL team, you don't just throw your hands up and say, well, these guys are professionals. They need to figure it out. Like, I think you take ownership of that. Like, I really do.
I think that where Tippett is sliding a bit right now is he's got too much reliance on his assistants making those choices, and rather than him just taking control and saying, "You know what, guys, I got this for the next 5 games."
You think so?
Yeah. I think he relies too much on Playfair and those guys to just make decisions. I really do.
Well, part of being a good manager is delegating, but at some time when this keeps going,
5 games slump means Tippett needs to go. It's mine for the next 5.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing, and you see this more from other teams. One thing I'm not a big fan of is when you see them call a timeout and then it's the assistant coach doing all the talking. I'm like, this should be this is where the head coach needs to step up and go, here's the deal. Like, I'm not sure why. Relying on assistant coaches are great. I was one for years, and not saying I was great, but But they have a voice, but they shouldn't be the lead voice, especially in a crucial moment of the game where you got a timeout and goalie pulled and all that kind of ruckus going on.
Or you
can ask Durst. Durst was my assistant for a couple years, and I definitely took the reins every time.
Or you have a situation in Chicago where you just hand the blackboard to the players, like it just fuck it, you guys do it.
Yeah, when I was head coach. Coaching Adam with Durst, it was my responsibility. I felt like it was my responsibility to make sure the players did their job. I took advice and everything from both my assistants, but it was at the end it was my choice.
Yeah, and that's important thing to recognize. And I felt that too when I moved from assistant coach to head coach. The same thing. That this is now ownership. Like I'm not just a voice. I am the voice.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think becoming a good coach is taking all the voices and kind of going through it, and if there's something that's you think's gonna work, then run with it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, you got to take responsibility for what goes on. So yeah, you have to make the final call of what you're gonna do.
And how many times a year you're gonna get kicked out?
You weren't around, Chad, but you would have been proud of me. We were playing a banner game in Valley View, and I got ejected.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was Mr. Ejected.
Yeah, and at the end of the first period, I threw water bottles and shit on the ice and did all that, and it was two younger guys reffing, and they didn't even pay attention. My kids brought the water bottles back up, put them on the bench politely. Go into the room, come back out. There's a goal that's scored. They call it a goal, and then they have a little meeting, and then they wave it off. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is that? And I just wanted an explanation, and it was bye-bye. Because the fans told them that I threw the water bottles on the ice in the first period. Way to go. So... I was supposed
all
to be
the other refs and fans.
I was supposed to be barred from the arena or something. I just sat in the room and listened to the rest of the game. Yeah.
I had to make the walk of shame in Whitecourt then when they were a junior B team at the time, and I was coaching the Fairview team, and a penalty happened right in front of the ref, and he didn't call it all, and I ended up standing up on the boards and did the old Don Cherry hand waving thing, whatever, arms up in the air, and he tossed me, and you can't just leave. You had to make the walk across the ice. With all the fans just booing or cheering you walking off, and you're walking across the length of the ice to get the dressing room. Like, yeah, fun time.
That's kind of what happened to me too. Like I had to walk across the ice to go to the room or whatever. And fans from my team are like clapping and congratulating me for standing up for the team. And all I really did was want an explanation of a call, and they thought I, was straightening these refs out. It wasn't that big.
Let me tell you, watching the Oilers and watching McDavid and all the missed calls, I can't believe that Tippett has been kicked out of one game. It actually irritates me a bit.
You know what? He should have at least said something that warranted a fine by now.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Tippett go full Jim Playfair and start like a yard sale on the ice when it's that bad, like. Oh man!
One thing that pisses me off a lot is how McDavid's being labeled a whiner, and he's actually never said anything about it. The only comment he ever made once is all he was asking for was consistency. And every time that reffing gets brought up, he always acknowledges that reffing's got to be one of the hardest jobs out there. They got a hard job to do. I've never heard him complain about calls being against him. The only time I ever mentioned it was saying all he wanted was consistency. It's us that do all the complaining for him.
Look at his 5 in the game. He got freaking tripped, like entering the zone without even the puck anywhere near him, blatantly, and then nudges the guy's shoulder, and he fucking Oscar-winning dive into the board, took his own face in. That was old school. I swear to God, I wanted to check him for razor blades.
I think
Stampede Wrestling, eh?
Wow.
Stampede Wrestling. No, like that hit. If I'm the ref that game, I call it a 5 in a game.
It wouldn't have been hit if they'd have called the penalty on McDavid.
That's the other point I was going to make. It never would have gotten that far.
Nope. Wouldn't have happened.
For me, the old school part of me says if you're going to give a guy 5 in a game for boarding, that other player better be injured. Not out on the first unit power play right away.
That looks bad.
That's where I don't.
Goal.
That's where I don't like that. You know, definite. I'm not going to argue that it wasn't boarding, but if you're giving him 5 in a game at the NHL level, that guy better not be right out there right away. Like,
Yeah.
that's where I don't know. I think the reason they called it 5 in a game is because he was cut like below his eye, and optics of it didn't look good. But I didn't.
Like I said, they didn't look for the razor blade. It was in there somewhere.
And you're going to give him 5 in a game for boarding, but you're not going to send that guy to the quiet room.
Concussion protocol.
Right. Like there's a disconnect here. It doesn't add up for me.
No.
There's been a disconnect there for a while now.
Yeah. And like last night too, Cassian's boarding call. I thought that was kind of borderline because I didn't see Cassian run him right in the numbers. It was kind of a hit from the side. But later in the third period, Shore gets decked, doesn't have the puck, and it was a boarding call, but blatant interference too. Nothing. What? Like the standard of officiating at times is just trash. Like.
And for the record here, I'm going to say this. I know we're speaking as Oiler fans, so of course we see our team more and we're passionate about the calls that don't get called on us. But this is honestly happening league-wide.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it's more noticeable against Connor McDavid because he's the world's best player, and that's why it makes news everywhere. But seriously, like it's still happening to Johnny Gaudreau. It's happening to Patrick Kane. Like the games I've seen where these guys, like they're getting pulled on, they're getting water skied behind, and nothing's getting called. Guys are poking at the puck and getting the skates. They go down. It's not getting called. Like it's absolutely atrocious how bad the officiating's gotten in the last few years. And I think what it is, we're losing a lot of our veterans who are hockey smart. And now we're picking up officials that can just keep up with the play. It's become more of a physical position than it has a mental position.
Yeah.
We brought in this extra referee to catch plays that are happening behind the catch calls are happening behind the play infractions. Okay, now who's watching the puck carrier? Are they both watching the behind the play? Like, do we need a third official on the ice just to watch stuff like going with the puck? Like,
no,
it's getting ridiculous.
There's not enough room out there as it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was going to start being a football game here.
I do see like the officials are getting younger because they have to be able to keep up with the speed of the game. So we're losing a lot of the hockey sense refs that knew how to manage a game, knew what to call and when to call, kind of thing, that had control of the game. Now it's more about guys that are able to keep up with the game.
You know what they're doing? They're recruiting fourth-line duds out of the WHL to come and be NHL refs. That's
you're not even lying. You're not lying. No, they're doing recruitment levels at players that are junior age hockey players that they realize might not have a professional hockey career, and recruiting them to be officials.
Yep. Yeah. And the only recourse, like the only thing that happens to these guys, they're graded, and their punishment is, okay, you're a lousy official, so we're not going to let you do the playoffs, but we'll see you in September. That's really all that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no really policing the officials, is there?
No.
Remember a time when you didn't have to? Remember Andy Van Helmen and Koharski and Kerry Fraser and real officials that could do it by themselves?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And having said that, though, we bitch about them then too. But you don't really realize what you have until it's gone.
I can honestly say I didn't really ever bitch much about Van Helmen.
Van Helmen was my favorite ref. He was, but there's definitely been games where I'm like, you didn't see that.
I think Bill McCreary is probably the best that I've ever seen.
That's another classic name.
Kerry Fraser had the nicest hair.
Yeah, he was pretty. He was pretty. Oh man, and that was his name? Mike Collins, the linesman that was
Kevin Collins.
Kevin
Collins.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. He was the best for breaking up fights. He was a big
Nah,
man,
he always looked like somebody. He always looked like somebody was tickling his butt the whole game. So always good to be the whole time. Like, yeesh.
And he skated like doing the spaghetti like real fast.
Not a fan of him.
No.
Well, gentlemen.
Not like Scapinello. There was a linesman. Holy smokes.
Ray Scapinello.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I think we've done enough damage for one night. We're about an hour and 15 minutes in, so
Hashtag fire Dustin Schwartz.
I'll let you guys each give kind of a final thought, and then I'll close her down.
Jason Voorhees first.
Yeah, okay, Bob, go ahead.
That was a good game, guys. I got to thank my defense. It was a team effort. We went out there, balls to the wall. I really enjoyed the system we play. All I do is I listen to my goalie coach, Dustin Schwartz. He got me to where I am today. So, all praise to him. If I wasn't for Dustin, I wouldn't be here on this high class podcast. So shout out to credit where credit's due. Mel, thanks for having me, Dursa. Always good to see you, Chad.
You're a dick. All right, good game, boys. Glad we won. That Schwartz goalie sucked. We'll continue to pound these guys every time we come into their rink, and I look forward to the next game. Good job, boys.
Thank you both for coming on, and I'll close it down like I always do by saying keep your sticks on the ice, keep reaching for the stars, go Oilers, go. And next year's Halloween episode, we'll have to have Bob and his mask on again. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check us out on the Heavy Hockey Network. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook or Twitter. If you want to read some hockey articles, heavyhockey.com is the place to go. And also kind of secured some advertising that we're going to start talking about next time. Big George St. Pierre's company there, Bet 99. Anyway, thank you all again, and we'll see you next time. Good night. Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks a lot, Durs. That was a lot of fun, man.
Bobby!
Chad, always good seeing you, buddy. Jeez.
You too, man.
Wouldn't be the same without you, man. No, but seriously, you gave me some food for thought on that Schwartz stuff. I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, I think you make some good points there.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of getting rid of him for a while. Not even just this year. I just see too much. Like, it starts for me. It starts back with Dubnyk.